one's mine. All right.
Happy Wednesday. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Woohoo.
I'm Michelle Plazik with RE/MAX Realty Advantage.
I'm Kim Malden with RE/MAX Realty Advantage.
And
Hope everyone has a good someone to celebrate with tonight, maybe, or today.
Yeah, and even if you don't.
Well, there's a friend or,
yeah,
a significant other, or just,
go have fun.
Yeah.
Even if you are by yourself.
Yeah. So it's Valentine's, so we are talking about neighborly love today. Showing neighborly love.
Neighborly love.
So basically how to be a good neighbor.
Do you feel the love in your neighborhood?
Some days, yes, but some days our neighborhood, like on Nextdoor, is like the Nextdoor telenovela. It's big drama and everybody getting all blown up and
really.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think that's one of the good neighbor things is when we get on those Facebook neighborhood pages and we get on Nextdoor neighborhood pages, people can hide behind the anonymity of a computer and they say things that they wouldn't say face to face. And so I think part of neighborly love should be, if you wouldn't say someone's face, then don't say it at all. Thumper's mom.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
You gotta say it with a little cutie voice in that, Kim.
Oh, Thumper's. Well, you can do it.
If you don't have anything nice to say,
there you
don't say it at all. Uh-oh, something just happened over there.
We're trying to reconnect. Uh-oh. Well, we'll keep going on. There we go. We're back.
There we go.
All right. So, yeah.
So, one of the hardest things as a realtor is when you go talk to your buyers who have just moved into the house and you say, so how's the neighborhood? How are your neighbors? And they say, well, nobody's really come to welcome me to the neighborhood. And I think, why not? Why aren't we as neighbors and just welcoming our people into the neighborhood?
Absolutely.
Bring them some cookies or something. If you don't bake, stop at the grocery store and get something.
Honestly, you don't have to bring anything at all.
That's true.
Go ring the bell, say, hey, you're my new neighbor. I'm so-and-so. If you need a cup of sugar, come on by.
Yeah, here's my phone number. If you're ever having an emergency, it's nice. And I have to say, we just moved into a new neighborhood about a year ago. And not one person came to welcome us. And I thought, I'm the welcome lady in most neighborhoods. So now here I'm the new person on the street and I have to go.
Right. And if your neighbors don't come welcome you, then if you are an outgoing person, go introduce yourself. It really does just make for better relationships in the neighborhood.
It does. And try to be nice on social media.
Yeah, that's a biggie. It's, oh my gosh, seriously, that one that I was reading last week, it was, telenovela. Seriously.
Yeah.
So the other thing we want to talk about is I just got my little trailer and we have an HOA that says no trailers or RVs in the neighborhood. And, so we called our HOA manager and we said, hey, this is what's going on. We're making accommodations for it at another property, but it's going to have to hang out in front of our house for a little bit. Is that okay? He was like, yeah, thanks for letting me know. And then we made sure that our neighbors knew too, that we have a plan for it. It's not going to be there forever. Hey, Penny. Thanks. Happy Valentine's to you too. It's not going to be there forever. And so our neighbors were like, well, okay, thanks for letting us know. So, things like that. Or if you're going to be cutting down a tree or if you're having a party.
Yes, for sure. Having a party.
Yeah. Let your neighbors know ahead of time. That way they know to be prepared. You don't have to ask their permission, but let them know.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just communicate.
Absolutely.
Introduce yourself. If you're new in the neighborhood, even if you're not new in the neighborhood, if you don't know your neighbors, make it a point 2018 that you're going to get to know at least 2 or 3 new neighbors. Yeah. And I was just thinking about this as we were doing our little research for this and just thinking about it. I thought, okay, so I'm the new person in the neighborhood, but I'm going to make it a point to go knock on some doors, introduce myself, and maybe invite them over for a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I just think that's, I need to know the people that live near me.
Absolutely. It makes you safer too. And a great way to do that is, go to your neighborhood night out. Or if you're not having a neighborhood night out, have one. Yeah. It's a great way to meet your neighbors. And, if that means that you have to go put a little post-it on everybody's front door that says, hey, we're doing neighborhood night out, meet us at the oak tree or wherever, then go for it.
There were a lot of ideas that some of these articles that I read had about being a good neighbor or just being neighborly and getting a sense of community in the neighborhood. And they were like starting with like putting up community library
like
boxes,
library.
Just on the corner, or a tool library. Did you read about that one?
I
thought
did
that was
read
a
about
great
the tool
idea.
Library. I thought about that too, and I thought, but as hard as it is to get my family to put the screwdriver back in the toolbox, would the tools go back to the tool library? But I do love the book library idea.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a family neighborhood that's got young kids. It's a great way to be able to share your bedtime stories that maybe somebody's outgrown, and pick up some new material for the older kids, things like that.
What I like about Nextdoor, the social media, if you're not on Nextdoor.com, it's a great way to get to know some of your neighbors. It's a little bit bigger, so maybe 50 communities altogether, but you can also zero in on just your neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I've seen on there several times where people, single women or whatever, are just need help.
Yeah.
And they'll say, hey, is anybody in the area that can help me with this?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're looking for people also that they can pay, but sometimes it's just nice to say, well, hey, I don't need to get paid for that.
Right.
I can put your ceiling light in.
Yeah. I mean, we had one house that they had bought a pack of, they had to buy a whole pack of shingles for the 3 that they needed.
Oh.
And so they posted it, hey, does anybody else have this roof color? We've got some extra shingles if you need some.
That's nice.
And and so they were able to come by and pick up some for theirs. And it was after the hailstorm a couple of years ago. And so there were several people that benefited from that. And, they weren't asking for money for them, but a lot of people, hey, yeah, I'll give you $5 or $10 for the however many I need. And so, it was really neighborly. So I think one of the other things you need to address as neighbors is when we have pets.
Oh.
Yeah. When you're walking your dog, when you're walking your dog and they poop in somebody's yard, be prepared to pick it up. Don't leave it. That's so not nice.
Yeah, be a good neighbor. And if your dog is barking,
bring him in.
Yeah. What's worse is when you got the barking dog and then you've got the crazy woman out there yelling at the barking dog, which just makes it even worse.
Yes.
More noise on top of noise.
Yeah, that's bad.
Just go bring them in.
Both of them. Yeah. So, if you've got dogs, don't leave them out overnight. Bring them in. If you can sleep through their barking, that's great. But remember, not all of your neighbors can. And then fireworks, too.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be neighborly. We've got to remember our families' pets, but even more than that is, remember our families who have veterans who may have PTSD. I know everybody wants to put off their firecrackers at, New Year's, 4th of July, things like that, but it really can be detrimental to some families to do that. So please go to a designated zone and do it there, and have some respect for those folks that could really be impacted badly by it.
Or at the very least, invite everybody over so that they're part of it.
Well, maybe, or at least let them know so they can leave if that's the case, I guess. Yeah. So
another thing I started to in our neighborhoods is just a bunco group. Mostly for women, but it was just a way to get to know some of the other women in the neighborhood. You can do that.
Absolutely. And Pat could have, the fantasy football for the guys.
Or poker or something
poker,
like that.
Absolutely.
If you've got some kind of an interest, no matter what it is, you could start some little club and just put it out there on social media. Anybody interested in this?
Yeah. So I think in our neighborhood, when it was before I moved in, we used to have a happy hour, like on a Friday, and it would rotate from front yard to front yard. And that sounded like fun. So maybe I should start that up again. One of the things that is Michael's big pet peeve, though, my husband, is parking in our neighborhood. We're a family neighborhood. We have a lot of teens that now have cars, and we can't fit them all in the driveways sometimes. And he gets really annoyed when people park in front of our house, but not in front of their own house.
Oh, I've heard about that.
The street is public parking. You cannot designate that your curb is yours and nobody but you can park on it. But, be respectful of your neighbor's space. If there's nobody parked in front of your own house, park in front of your house before you park in one of your neighbors.
And see, this is where communication comes into play so much. Yes. Because if you're friends with your neighbor, now I just visited some friends up in the northern part of our United States, and it was a little cold, and so they have to deal with snow. Yeah. But it was kind of fun because I was talking to my friend who she has just one car and one car garage, so she parks in her garage. Well, the people across the street have a teenager, and when you are living in a place where there's snow, you have to get your cars off the street so that they can plow.
Yeah.
So between a certain number of hours, you have to be so. They put their teenager's car in her driveway, and in turn for doing that, they plow her driveway or clear her driveway.
Nice.
So it kind of works out very well. But we don't have that situation here. But you can do something similar. If somebody if you only have one car or you have two cars and you park in your garages, maybe you can offer your driveway to a neighbor who has during parties and things like that.
Well, and when we have several neighbors across the street. We have one house that has 5 cars, and they just moved in recently, and we have 3 cars at our house and 2 are on the driveway and 1's on the street. And so when they moved in, I went over, I took them some homegrown tomatoes, said, welcome to the neighborhood. And I let them know, hey, by the way, our teenage son parks on the curb in front of our house. So if it's possible, if you wouldn't mind leaving that spot open for him, we'd really appreciate it. And that went a long way. Really did.
That's very good. So what do you do when you're the nice neighbor, but you've got a neighbor next door to you or across the street from you who doesn't mow their lawn or doesn't paint their house and lets it rot or whatever.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of times you can offer to mow their lawn for them or, just do it if it's, especially if they're elderly.
Because you never know what's in somebody's baggage compartment until you go talk to them. So that's the biggest thing is go talk to them, right? Find out what's going on in their life, why they can't mow their lawn.
And if there's a single mom living across the street and her kids are little and you've got teenagers and her yard's getting overgrown, just go send one of your teens and mow the grass. I mean, talk to people, be neighborly, and don't hide behind social media. I think those are the 3 big takeaways.
Yeah, I think so too.
Show some neighborly love, and you'll have a great Valentine's.
Oh, okay. We're leaving now. It's time. Hey, bye.
Bye.
Happy Valentine's Day.